Hello everyone, welcome to another tile installation video. This video is going to cover how to tile with large format tile a shower. This shower has a window, a niche, and a bunch of other cool features. A very easy shower to maintain, really excellent material. If you want to see the first part, feel free to check out the channel and click the link below. That's going to cover how to go from a tub to a shower as a tub shower conversion. Alright, let's get started. The first part of all of my shower builds is to start from the bottom and move my way up, so I will be starting with the tile on the shower pan. The customer here selected a penny tile with a nice contrasting color. She prioritized trying to have something that would be easy to grip onto, so these are textured black penny tiles. Also for the drain, I'm going to be using an integrated flange drain right here. This is the drain that's specifically made for the sealed system that has been used already in the Laticrete waterproofing. Pretty straightforward from here. Mark, then cut a bunch of half pieces so that you can fill the gaps. I did custom build the shower pan, so I know everything is nice, perfect, the pitch is correct, and everything is going to work great. Preparation for these kinds of tiles is the key to making sure that everything looks nice. Another important thing is I do try to center the drain as best as I can to make sure that it doesn't look horrible. You don't necessarily have to start in the middle, but I have grown accustomed to always starting in the middle and getting a nice pattern against the drain, since that's going to be a focal point. Just filling in the pieces with sheets cut to the right size. I didn't know what color the grout was going to be, so assuming that they were going to do white and white on the floor, I did use a white thin set mortar. If you're going to use a black color, then you want to use some kind of a gray or even black thin set. As for the pieces, you basically just have to back butter each piece a little bit and then put those pieces down. And that's it. That's how you put penny tile on the shower pan floor. Now, this part is the tricky part. I want to center one of the large pieces. These pieces are 4 feet by 2 feet. This wall is, I believe, about 6 feet. So I want to center one piece right in the middle and then have pieces on the side sort of coming out following the pattern. You can see that these guys are pretty big. I'm going to be using this tool a lot throughout this installation. These are just suction cups. You can get the powered ones. I don't like that they're very heavy when they have a battery, so I like these sort of manual pump tools. And then of course you want to get a feel for the tile and the pattern, so I put out a bunch of these pieces. Luckily I had a room here to be able to do that. Got a hold of it. You can see my helper struggling to get through this narrow corridor here. And now it's time to put the first piece. Your first piece is the most important piece, I think. If you put that correctly and it's level and it's plumb, it's flat and all that good stuff, then the rest of the installation is fairly easy. This is the only piece that I use a lot of help with because I want to make sure to put it right at the right spot. Then of course I gotta wiggle it in there so that I compress all of the notches and make sure that I get full coverage. Again, right in the middle of this wall. That's the goal. I do use these clips in order to level everything. These are 1/32 inch or 1 millimeter clips. There you go. Again, 1/32 inch grout line, as small as you can get. We're trying to make this look almost like a slab. Technically you can get away with putting other types of spacers, but I like that these clamp together the tiles because even the slightest movement will throw you off. And of course I have to get the tile cutter here to score and snap all of the pieces that I am going to be using on the side. Part of why I put out a bunch of tiles beforehand is because I wanted the pattern to sort of match as best as possible. So that piece right there will coincide with the left piece. I did do all the surface prep myself, so I know these walls are all nice and plumb. I only need to back butter flat all of the tiles. If you're not entirely sure, feel free to put 1/4 inch trowel on the back of the tile as well. But you do need to make sure that every single tile you put down is back butter. Really important for proper coverage. This is the first tricky cut that I have to make around this window here. You can sort of see I like to first place it down, and then I can use my tape to measure, but I do like to see exactly where it's going to sit and then mark it. There are other tools that you can use to make cuts like this. I have been doing this a while, and honestly the grinder is the best one. You have to use a really good blade. I always use something meant for glass tile, or at least specifically for porcelain. I do one score over the top that I sort of very delicately imprint on there, and then I do a deeper score, and that's how I snap these pieces off. Look at that. Then of course you want to clean up the edges. I have 4 different sanding gradients that I use to sort of polish this. You can use the grinder to polish as well. I like to do it by hand because I can kind of feel it as I go through. And that's it. Look at that piece right there. These are really tricky to make, but if you're patient and you use a grinder as well as the right blade, you should be fine. A really important tip, I don't think I can make these cuts unless I do this. I have these clips that I put on the sensitive areas. You can see that right here. And you can see I also elevate it so that I don't cut into my table. These clips make it so that as you're cutting, it doesn't vibrate and snap the tile. Anytime that you use a tool for cutting porcelain or ceramic, you want to grind the surface as opposed to puncture it. And after about 20 minutes, I can go ahead and, wait. Yeah. Isn't that fun? And after another 20 minutes, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, you're gonna do stuff like that once in a while. There you go, perfect fit. Let's talk about another quick detail, directional troweling. I like to trowel against the longest side, so perpendicular to the longest side. That's the best way to get full coverage for these tiles. This piece that's right here is the matching piece. You can see prime left, that's the name of all my bottom pieces. Now I'm just going to cut that on the left side so that it matches up the length of the left wall. The piece I cut here is the piece that goes on the main wall, and that's how you get the pattern to flow really, really well. So all this is deliberate, and I planned this from the very, very beginning. I did build everything about the niche myself, so this does fit perfectly with the full tile, so I don't have to make 2 awkward cuts just like I did for the window. Saves a lot of time. Now, this part right here, this piece, took me some time to make. It was very delicate. Look at that happy face when I finally got it right. I know it's creepy, but that's just what a happy tile guy looks like. Same thing gets repeated on the right side where the valve is. Alright, I get to show off more new tools. So I have most of the typical sizes for the different faucets. This is a grinding bit, and this is just a way to hold it in place with this suction. Really great tool when you don't want to miss. The faucet ended up being really, really close to the corner, so I have to be really careful not to move because otherwise it would snap the tile. So that is how you can make something like this actually work. If you move too much with even this type of new diamond grinding blade, it does snap that tiny little chunk there. Having stuff like this, having these kinds of tools really helps to avoid too many things from breaking. Because remember, this piece here is complementary to the one that's already installed on the wall, so I really did not want to break it because I want that pattern to match. Alright everyone, moment of truth, let's see if it fits. Look at that. Alright, excellent. This is the final big piece. And just like that, we're done. No, just kidding. This is only partly done. This particular job, this is day number 2. It is fairly quick to do all of the big pieces. That's one of the great things about large format tile. But when you have different details like a window, that does tend to take a bit longer. In this case, it was a full other day just to do these details. So if you guys are getting quotes from different contractors and you have various details like windows, niches, shower steps and things like that, they will give you a much higher price. These types of details do take a while. Customer preferred something a lot more stable and less sharp, so we did not go with a mitered cornered edge. Instead, we put these Schluter trims, these black Schluter trims. All the thickness around the windows is the same, so I'm setting a mark for that. And now I will be cutting all of the pieces. That right there is a second mark that I use to try to get the thickness throughout the tile to be the same. When you have pieces that are really long, this cutter cuts up to 5 feet. Even the smallest deviation at the top can lead to the tile at the bottom being anywhere between 1/4 and 1/2 inch off. So marking it at the bottom is really helpful. Rather than struggling to fit the pieces later, I did dry fit all of the Schluter trims. You can see it right there in the background, that all the pieces are already pre-cut. There you go. So I just sort of fish them into the tile and then fish the tile into place, knowing that everything will fit perfectly. One of the most common mistakes I see with new installers is that they don't do this, and all of the mortar has a specific drying time. Most of the time it's not enough. You end up with dry mortar, so you place it and it never bonds because it's too dry and so on. Having everything sort of built beforehand makes you not have to rush as you're trying to put the pieces down. So the niche, really the only thing to mention that's different is the bottom niche piece does have a slight pitch so that if the water gets there, it runs back. I can't take the credit for the design of this particular shower. The customer had a lot of input, but one of my signature install details is a accent piece in the back of the niche to sort of make it pop. This is a Silicone Moroccan style ceramic tile. It's a really awesome material. It's deliberately made to be somewhat jagged and irregular. I feel like it matches the space really well to draw attention to that detail of the niche. You can see it's a perfect fit. That's what you guys saw earlier as I was cutting on the wet, so I was just shaving off just a little bit. Not too difficult. These sheets do hold up pretty well. Of course, you want to make sure that the adhesion is complete, so you want to tamp down everything. Now for the final detail, this step. This is where the cutter really comes in handy, cutting the full length of those pieces to a particular thickness, putting the step Schluter, using the knife to press it down to make sure that it adheres correctly and goes all the way up against the tile there. Then after I back butter the tile pieces, I can set down everything and match it to what's on the main wall. So this is a full piece in the middle with 2 slivers on the sides. All done with the installation part. Now it's just time to grout and add caulking. For my grout, my preferred grout is Laddercrete Permacolor. It's a great grout. It doesn't need to be sealed. It's fiber reinforced, so it doesn't crack very easily. It's a really, really great product. Works excellent for these types of installations. Probably the easiest grouting you can do is grouting on large format tile. You can definitely use other types of even more robust grouts. There was the need to have a similar consistency with the floor as we did with the walls, and I really don't like to use epoxy style grouts on penny tiles. It doesn't look great, so I'm just going ahead and adding this type of high performance grout instead. The customer did decide that later on that they wanted a dark colored grout. It's really tricky. I did spend about 2 hours just teasing out all of the white thin set. letting the grout sit and dry somewhat is really important, because otherwise you're just going to clean way too much of the grout. So letting it sit the appropriate amount of time and cleaning it when it's ready is the most important thing for grouting. And finally, the final step, adding 100% silicone on all of the changes of plane. I use white on the inside and black against the trim on the wall. And that's it. We are done. A fully custom large format tile shower. The goal of this installation was to make it so that you can't even really see the grout lines. I believe we were able to accomplish this with that color that was used. Look at that beautiful niche with the Silicone Moroccan style tile accent and Schluter trims on the outside. A very bold sort of bordered look that the customer really loved. Really loved the clean look. It's something that's going to be very easy to maintain for a really long time. I'm glad that I was able to help the customer to gain access to this area. We did go from this, where it was difficult for them to step into the shower space, to this with a very low shower step. Just an awesome build. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.